nice, but 2 is even better. And that's exactly what we have tonight. What's good, everybody? Welcome into the Early Edge, and I'm literally sinking in my chair. Let me start that over again. Oh, that was smooth. Nice. All right, we are powered, as always, by the king of all sportsbooks, BetMGM. Great to partner with them. Also, we are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it is not close. We're coming off a fantastic weekend at the brand. Props, money lines, totals. We absolutely destroyed it. Tonight, 2 Monday night games. They kind of stacked them on top of each other. At 7:15 Eastern time, the Saints laying 3 on the road in Carolina to take on Bryce Young and the Panthers. At 8:15 Eastern time in Pittsburgh, you have the Browns also laying points in the Steel City to take on Pittsburgh. Guess what? We've got you covered for both. And we have gym picks for both. Who's going to get in the club tonight? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be you? We're about to find out. And we've got the best crew in the business. Bring in the stars of the show. You know them. You love them, and on a Monday night, are you serious right now? We're going 5 wide. Now, let me just get this out of the way before you type, where's the counselor? He's on assignment today, all right? But he sent in his picks. Didn't make Proppy very happy, but we're going to still go with his gym pick. But he has a brand new thing he's got going on, and today was the first day. So we congratulate him for that. He'll be back tomorrow. Don't even worry about it with buckets. By the way, Philzy, have you met Buckets yet?
What's that?
Have you met Buckets yet?
No.
You're in for a treat, Phil.
Buckets,
a real
Proppy,
treat.
2020.
Hey, Phil, Buckets 2024, my guy.
Really? I
Oh,
like
boy.
that.
Oh, so Proppy is here. My man Phil is back. Everybody's talking about Phil. My 5-tool player AB is here. And EC, you will not believe what's coming down your plate very, very soon for social media. I'm going to tease it publicly right now. You don't even know about it yet. Haven't even told you yet. I got something for you. Gentlemen, can we get into it?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, game number 1, Saints and the Panthers. Here are the numbers, courtesy of BetMGM. 3 for the Saints. Panthers on the money line, plus 140. The total at 39.5. Philly, let's start with you on kind of the outlook. There's not a ton of props tonight as far as numbers because this could be an ugly one. How are you looking at it?
Yeah, I see it similar to what you just said. So you got the Saints coming into Carolina. It's the home opener for them. They got the rookie quarterback, Bryce Young, #1 overall pick. A lot of unknown variables that we're looking at here with that. I really like the Saints defense. We got Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Jordan, and DeMario Davis. They had 3 sacks last week, 10 quarterback hits, 46% pressure on defense. And then again, both guards are out for the Panthers. That's going to really affect this running game, but they're going to have to rely on Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard. Talked to James Campen this week, the offensive line coach. They got to pound those guys. He's one of those smartest guys in the business about running the football. So we're fixing to find out what happens today in Carolina.
And we are fixing to come to Proppy for our first best bet. Now, are you getting that little nugget that Phil just laid on you anywhere else? No, because we don't dig deep, or they don't dig deep. We do. So, Proppy, let me come to you with all that good analysis. What's your one best bet in this game?
Yeah, that was fantastic analysis by Phil. But I'm going to take a shot on the Saints wide receiver Rashid Shaheed, over 36.5 receiving yards. Gave this out on Friday. It's presently at 39.5. I'd still play it there. I'm comfortable playing it there. Rashid has looked very good. This is his second year. Came on strong over the second half of the season last year. Looked really good despite a pretty disastrous quarterback situation for the Saints. Some combination of Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, Trevor Siemian as well. But yeah, he showed really well. Carried over to week 1. 3.56 yards per route run. That was second to only Tyreek Hill. Made the most of his touches. This guy has incredible speed. He's a downfield threat. He's made the most of a pretty minimal target share, but I have a lot more confidence in Derek Carr throwing him the ball, especially deep. I think this is going to be one of the last times this season we find Shaheed with his receiving prop under 40 yards. I think he's going to very quickly become one of Carr's favorite targets. Got a glimpse of that week 1 where he went over 100 yards for a score. I think he sails over this number tonight.
And like clockwork, a few of you in the chat are like, Coach, it's already over 40. Well, guess what? If you would have watched the show this morning, you had it 36.5. My man moves the line. What would you play it up to, Proppy?
I played up to 41.5.
Okay, played up to 41.5. Now, before I come to EC, there's a reason I'm going back to Phil, because the Carolina offense is a work Oh, yeah, a work in progress. How do you see them, Phil?
Yeah, so Carolina offense, it's one of those things where you have to really figure out what the young quarterback is going to do and what his identity is. So they're going to try to probably get the ball out of his hand quickly, like we saw Tua do last night. That would be helpful. Also, some of the boots and nakeds would be available for him. But honestly, just being straight up with you guys, the running backs, they have to carry the load. At home in the past, the Panthers have had two backs that have been able to pound the ball in between the tackles, run the ball outside. Some of the toss sweep stuff that you've seen with the down, and around man schemes are going to be up tonight. So if the two backs can't get it going, then you're going to have to rely on DJ Chark, who was questionable. He was dealing with some injury history. Not quite sure if he's available tonight, but if he is, that would be a guy that has to step up. Thielen only was targeted twice last week, so expect for him to get involved a little bit more. And then also when all young quarterbacks are out there and they're in their first few starts, you have to have a reliable tight end like Hayden Hurst. So look for those three guys to step up their game in addition to the two running backs.
Oh, so the other running back you were talking about would be Chuba Hubbard. Yeah, probably go.
Real quick, just wanted to touch on, piggyback on Phil's point. DJ Chark is active tonight, making his season debut. I think it's going to have a tremendous impact for this Panthers offense. They were really missing some speed on the outside in week one. Adam Thielen at this stage of his career just can't really separate, had to rely heavily on the rookie wide receiver, Jonathan Mingo. So Chark may not have a big impact as far as fantasy and props are concerned, but just having the threat of his speed on the field, I think is going to open things up for this Panthers offense.
Look at that. Probably getting coachy for me. Coachy a little bit, like having an impact on the field without being a factor in betting. Wow.
I like that. Educate and entertain. Thank you, Proppy. Now, EC sitting over there, big old fat smile on his face because he knows anytime Phil says something and it backs up one of his picks, he feels pretty good about himself. You're up, EC.
Yeah, well, Coach, I'm not going to get coachy here because obviously I don't have that gene, unfortunately. But we are going to go with Chuba Hubbard over 34.5 rushing yards at -110. So he had 9 carries for 60 yards in week 1 against the Falcons. New Orleans wasn't so great against AB's Titans in week 1 against the run. He about 4.7 yards per carry. Now, Hubbard had a 36% snap rate. Listen, I'm just not a Miles Sanders believer. I can't buy into the Miles Sanders getting, $9 million a year or more. I just think this guy is slow. I don't know. But I'm rolling with Hubbard. I think he's going to get some run tonight. So in the last 9 games, dating back to last year, that he's had 8 or more carries, he's gone over this total of 34.5 rushing yards. Not playing the receiving, just rushing. I think we can get 10 carries tonight. I think you want to keep New Orleans offense off the field. I think we get 10 carries and over 40 yards. So I'd play this up to 40, but that line at 34.5 seems fairly secure. And then, Coach, I have to do it. It's a Monday night, and we're gonna play the home dogs. And I'm gonna roll. I love plus money, you know that. I'm rolling with Carolina plus 140. So here's some stats for you. Frank Reich against the spread as a head coach in week 1 is 0-5-1. He is 4-1 straight up in week 2. He knows how to make those adjustments. Is that coachy, Phil? I probably not, but nonetheless, he knows how to make those adjustments from game 1 to game 2, and I'm buying into it. I don't trust New Orleans running game with Jamal Williams. It's more of a complimentary back than a full-fledged starter. A few other numbers that I really like here. New Orleans, 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 primetime games. Derek Carr, 1-8 straight up in road primetime games in his career. Carolina has won the last 2 meetings between these two teams at home, both in September. We're rolling with the Panthers tonight, plus 140.
Oh, did Bryce Young play in those 2 games that they won in September?
It doesn't matter. I don't care. Who was quarterbacking the Panthers last year?
Whoa. Phil, does it matter who plays quarterback for the team when you're talking about previous games?
Of course.
Thank you.
Baker Mayfield. Who was even playing for the Panthers last year?
You need to stop it right now. But now I'm
you
fired.
shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
By the way, this is a true story. About 2 hours ago, I was at the grocery store. I can't even make this up. This dude walks up to me. Who's the play tonight? I said, you came to the right guy. So Robert in the chat, it wasn't Robert, but he has exactly what I told this man in the grocery store. The Saints and Browns on the money line, and if you want to parlay it, that is fine. And so Robert gets it. I get it. But apparently, EC, you don't get it.
No, and I'm going to tell you why, Coach. So we did the Friday prop show. I went 4-1, and the only loss that I had was Anthony Richardson over 38.5 rushing yards. and he took himself out in the second quarter.
He was concussed. How could he
He
take
had
himself out?
35 yards. He had 35 of 38.5 yards. It was a guaranteed win. He just needed to stay in the game and not hit his head on the turf, Phil, and it was a lot.
I think that take was so brutal that it knocked prop stars out of the show.
He's losing his mind right now.
It just took him out of the show.
Phil, apparently you didn't know that EC's middle name, he doesn't say his full name a lot, but it's Almost.
Oh,
his middle name is Almost.
My middle initial is an A. I do have to say that.
Yeah. All right, EC. I mean, we could do it right now if you want. Do
you want both of them? You want to take both of them? Do you want both games in one, or do you want to do it one at a time?
No, we'll do both right now because I have the Browns and I have the Saints.
And I'll take both home teams tonight. Let's do it.
And no points. No points.
Just straight up. I put it on. You know what, Coach? I put the Steelers on the site for more units than everybody else. That's how confident I am.
All right, I want to hear Phil say this for the very first time in his early edge career. Phil, this is all I need you to say. AB, hit the music.
AB, hit the music.
It's gonna be a showdown.
Oh!
It's gonna be a showdown.
Oh, Phil, I didn't even know that EC was going to feed my kids tonight. But that's exactly, and we're going to get sushi. We're going to get sushi because of you.
No, you're not.
Oh,
and you're going to parlay? That's a guarantee. Coach, worst case.
No. I said if you want to, I'm cool with it, but I'm not. Don't put
cool
words in my mouth.
Did he just try to parlay a showdown?
How would that even work?
You can't triple stamp a double stamp.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Proppy, we just said that EC was driving you nuts so much that it blew out all your Wi-Fi and your equipment. Is that
true story? My cat actually heard EC's take, went bonkers, flew over onto my desk here, tore out all the cables into my laptop, and that's why I just out of commission.
Even have thumbs.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Which one
was Goose. It was Goose.
Yeah. Goose has quite the personality, EC. And if Goose doesn't like you, I can't help you.
He loves EC. He loves EC.
Goose and I are tight. We're good. I appreciate his baseball picks when he does that. But Coach, worst case, I'm breaking even tonight. There is no way that both road teams are winning tonight. No way.
Phil, let me come back to you, get the train back on the track. I'm just going to let that.
Where are we going?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you where we're going because we're going to go to the other side of the fence. We haven't even talked about the reason I believe the Saints are going to win tonight because Derek Carr is a veteran quarterback and Bryce Young is not. Give me your take on the Saints, and then AB, I'm coming to you.
So when I'm thinking about the Saints and their offense, I do love the veteran quarterback. Derek Carr had 305 yards, a touchdown last week. I think a 96.1 passer rating. So he was efficient. You know, I played against this guy when we were with the Bills and the Chargers, when we were with the Raiders. He's good. I mean, you know, he can put points up on the board. You know, he'll turn the ball over from time to time and try to fit some balls in there. But ultimately, he's got more playmakers. Let's just call it what it is. He's got Chris Olave. He had 8 for a $112 last week, coached again by the great Brian Hartline out of Ohio State, just churning out wideouts. They got Rashid Shaheed. I love that guy. I think he had 5 for 89 in the tug last week as well. And then guess who's back? Michael Thomas, 5 for 61. So there's just more weapons for the guy. They are on the road, so I'm rolling with the Saints.
All right, real quick, chat question, Proppy, to you. Would you like the reception prop for your boy Shaheed over 3.5?
Because of his big playability and because he can literally take one catch for 30 or 40 yards, much prefer the yardage.
All right, very good. All right, AB, let me come to you. Because everything that Phil just said, all the weapons that Derek Carr has, oh, I see one of your plays here I absolutely love. I think the Saints offense goes off tonight. And I would love a sweet win where they're up by like 20 in the fourth so I can start tweeting at EC. That would be ideal for me. But I believe you believe that my play is pretty good. Huh, AB?
I do, Coach. And I'll tell you what, I'll leave us right here on the screen. I've got 2 plays for this game. All right, the first one, we'll just put it right here. Saints team touchdowns over 2.5. Not only do I think that the Saints offense has a pretty good night, but I think that the Panthers offense has a horrific night, and it is going to leave New Orleans in optimal field position throughout this game. over 2.5 touchdowns and at plus money. And the fact that EC's shaking his head no makes me love it even more. We're going to get down here. All we need are 3 touchdowns in this game. And here's the best part. You don't have to worry about the kicker. Extra points don't matter in this one. All we need are the tutties. So there we go. We're going to take that. Now, we were talking about Phil breaking down the Panthers and the Saints. And we haven't discussed this. He hasn't seen this. I want to show you how insanely correct that he is. So bring up the no-fly zone here. I guess I'm speaking to myself on that one. And we're going to say we're taking Bryce Young, okay, over 1.5 interception tonight. And let me tell you why. Obviously, limited sample size here on the right. But if this is the first time you've ever seen this graphic, all right, on the left here, the top left is the Saints pass defense completion percentage ranks across the NFL. All right. On the right-hand side, you see Bryce Young's first game in the NFL. Green completions, white incompletions, blues a touchdown, and he has 1 interception there in the middle. And you see his splits there on the bottom left. Again, 1 game. But what I want to get across is this. Look at the Saints secondary. Their defense is not that great stopping the run, but it's good enough. And if they are playing from ahead tonight, it is going to be a nightmare for Bryce Young. He is going to have nowhere to throw the ball. Anywhere deep, anywhere beyond 15 yards is liable to get picked. In the middle of the field is liable to get picked. This is a disaster potential game for Bryce if they do not give him protection on the offensive line, and if they are not running the football, just as Phil mentioned, if they can't do it, this is going to be bad. They have to just keep this defense away and kind of play cat and mouse with it. If they can't, the Saints might score 250 touchdowns in this game. It could be trouble here, man.
And that would be a record. Hey, EC, I will tell you that you have certainly got the chat popping. Tyler says, why does EC still use AirPods version 1?
Hey, let me tell you something. If it happens tonight and I sweep as I expect, I will buy new AirPods courtesy of Coach.
Next gen
I will do
threes,
that.
please. Next gen threes. Let's get updated.
Exactly. I'm with you. Now, Phil, I have a question for you.
For me.
I have a question for you.
Do you, EC? Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. All right. So, Phil, I gave that stat about Frank Reich being terrible in week 1 and really good in week 2. What do you make of that from a coaching perspective? Is that adjustments? Is that a fluky stat? What's your take on that?
Two things. You have a corrections period on the Monday when you get in. You might have the guys out there, and we might walk through like 10 plays. It might be some 5 runs and 5 passes where we just were awful. So I think a guy like Frank with an offensive mind, he had a great playing career in Buffalo. I mean, he's a smart dude. So I think just getting in there and first getting the players to understand that there's some corrections that need to be made. Then it goes into when the players are out of the building on Tuesdays. All right, we start game planning hard on Monday night and all day Tuesday. So Frank will go in there and also take what we do good from a personnel standpoint, and then look at what defensively, schematically they're trying to do against us. And then he puts together a quarterback-friendly game plan that limits the amount of pressures that he's going to see, and then tries to get him on the edge and really tries to eliminate some of the things that we don't do so well, and then accentuate some of the positives and strengths that we have on the offensive side of the ball.
See, that was so good. And since I didn't have any popcorn, I just went and got a cheese stick because I just want to sit there and have a snack while Phil just educated you on why you're going to lose.
And Coach, let me say, agreeing with you. Like, and Phil, EC was a master at that Saturday walkthrough in the hotel on the road. That's where he shined at practice.
That's great. That's a good time. I shined at the snack at night. I'm like Rex Ryan.
Look, I thought you were going to say, you were a shells and uppers type of guy. But you know what, EC, that Saturday walkthrough, when you tape off in the ballroom there. Yeah.
Do you really think, AB, that EC knows about a walkthrough on day?
No.
I mean, do we really think that? By the way, my man Sean says, once EC started talking smack, I was hoping that young coach or Proppy was going to lay the smack downeth, and we did. And Goose got pissed. So, Goose, relax. So, I do want to get your take, though, Phil, because the no-fly zone, you love it. But we catch these a lot. Is Bryce Young and the way the Saints defense runs, is he in line tonight? Because one of my plays is under his longest completion of 32.5. I looked at last week, and he didn't have a completed pass over 14 yards. Not one. So tonight, will they be that conservative?
So there's a couple things that we talked about. Just to get into the no-fly zone right off the bat, I have a real issue with young quarterbacks and great dynamic pass rushers like Cameron Jordan. So he's going to probably get him off the spot. When he gets flushed from the pocket, oftentimes it's the same size field as college, but the players are so much faster. So the windows that you see when you're moving that were open at, when you're running against Alabama and you're playing McNeese State, those windows close so much faster, than they when you're playing in the NFL. So first and foremost, young quarterbacks with a swarming defense, they got the fleur de lis on the helmet flying all around. I could see this prop coming back home for AB. I really could. And then you were talking, Coach, about one other thing in general. What'd you say?
Oh, in general, on if they're going to be conservative and not throw the ball downfield.
So that was a good point. And I thought because Marshawn Lattimore, you saw that they were number one on his side where he lines up in the league. So that would limit the amount of potential downfield shots that I would take in general, just because of the potential for him to actually take the ball away from the offense. Not every corner can take the ball away. That's just the truth. Some guys can be right there, hip coverage, but they have no ball skills. That's why they play defense. But Marshawn Lattimore is the one exception on the field, in my opinion, that can change a game with his hands on the defensive side of the ball.
So you're saying that my play of under 32.5 for longest completion is a good play?
It is.
CEC, it is.
Well, I'm glad you're going to make your money that way, Coach. That's how you pay me tonight.
Proppy, why are you laughing, Proppy? I feel like as tight as you and I have become over the years, you're tight with buckets now. You're tight with EC now.
That was a good retort. You got to give him credit. It was good.
You got to give him credit sometimes.
I do.
Proppy's going to heel faction now.
I guess. And that little thing I was going to give to EC, I'm not giving it to him anymore. I'm taking that off your plate. I'm taking it off your plate. Now, probably let me come to you because we have other guys are going to have to catch the ball tonight. Somebody is going to have to catch the football. So let's go to the Panthers side first. But let's hit on a few numbers. I know you're normally not the quarterback guy, but I can come to you with anything. The Bryce Young numbers, under 200, 188.5. 28.5 for attempts, 17.5 with completions. Let's start there first. Can we go under on any of those?
I think the numbers are honestly pretty efficient here. I do think Carolina is going to want to run the football. We're going to see quite a bit of Miles Sanders, quite a bit of Chuba Hubbard. They're going to protect Bryce Young. Phil mentioned the offensive line problems. These were problems even when their offensive line was healthy in the preseason. Now coming into the season, banged up at guard. I think they're really going to want to protect Bryce Young, limit his passing volume if they can, keep the game close, and keep Carr off the field as well by running the football quite a bit. So I think ideally the Panthers will be running tonight. We won't see a lot of passing volume from Bryce Young.
All right. Oh, I mean, playing it under at 188 is tough. My goodness, is that tough? AC, let me come. Actually, AB, I got to come to you first. Then EC, I have one for you. Because when you're talking about all the stuff we're talking about, we love team totals here. And fans at home love to bet team totals. These are kind of low. So based off of everything you've heard, 20.5 for the Saints, 10 at halftime, 17.5 for the Panthers, 9 at halftime.
Ooh, okay. So you said 10 at halftime for the Saints and
Correct.
20 for the game?
20.5 for the game.
I would go 20.5, honestly. I mean, obviously I'm on, over 2.5 team touchdowns. 20.5 is a very attainable number. And especially when you're talking about putting field goals up as well. Yeah. If anything, I would go Saints 20.5 because they're still so new, and especially with Derek Carr, that it's not like, veteran QB, they get up, we just kind of relax. Like, no, like you keep going. Like every attempt matters, every rep matters, right? So 100%, I'd go with the Saints. I'd go over 20.5.
All right. I just played it live on the show. Hashtag it pays to watch live. EC, let me come to you because when we talk about the other Panthers, we've got some names, but are they past their prime? Are they going to be healthy? Phil talked about DJ Chark coming back. His numbers over 2.5 plus 135. Adam Thielen over 2.5 minus 162. The books thinks that he could have well over 3. So they're all like 2.5 or 3.5. There's nothing at 4, 5, 6, nothing like that. Your thoughts?
Coach, I'll be honest with you. I love to play a bunch of props and do that whole kind of thing. when I was looking at this game last night, I was thinking, I don't want to play much of anything. I went with the Hubbard prop, but I'm telling you, I would avoid everything. Save it all and bet it on Pittsburgh on the money line. You'll make your money. In all seriousness, though, this game doesn't appeal to me. Like, there's nothing. You got Chris Olave props, which I like on the other side, but for Carolina, it's just so uncertain. I think they're really just going to focus on running the ball, as Phil said. You're going to see Miles Sanders get maybe 20 carries if all goes well. You're going to see Hubbard hopefully get 10 or more to hit my prop. I mean, these receivers, they don't have a really good tight end. Bryce Young doesn't have a lot to work with. Mingo might be somebody down the road if you want to take a shot there, and maybe he gets to over 2.5 catches there. I think Adam Thielen might, but Coach, I would stay away. I think there are better places to invest your money tonight.
I think that's great advice, because even though we don't like to say there's no opportunities, sometimes we say that there are
opportunities.
Opportunities.
Coach, can I say one thing real quick? I'm fascinated to see tonight what Derek Carr looks like, because in week 1, his first game with this team, with this coaching staff, with these players, with his offensive line, with his center, he went against a pretty good Mike Vrabel defense and kind of carved him up. And not only that, he was efficient in doing so as well, right? Like, that was a good defense that he looked pretty sharp against in his first ever game. I'm not saying that it's going to be some massive game for the Saints, but I could see where if he continues that, buddy, good luck, man. Like, I just got to give him credit. That was a good first game for him, man.
But AB, you saw they had all those. He had 305 yards passing. But how many points did they have? They had 16. They had 3 field goals, something like that. They only scored 1 touchdown. So you can have, it's a lot of empty yards when you're not capitalizing with touchdowns at the end.
Hey, I'm telling you, I saw this team go to Kansas City with Malik Willis at quarterback. They didn't let the man throw the football and almost won the game. Like, Mike Vrabel knows what he's doing on the defensive side. Now, I'm not disagreeing with you, but like, I am just saying, like,
yes, you are.
5 years, he doesn't give that up a lot. Yeah,
you are, and that's fine. Phil, go.
So just kind of to some anecdotal information about the Carolinas defense, being down J.C. Horn is huge. All right. That's an important variable for us to discuss just from a personnel standpoint. Brian Burns did the held in thing, got his contract not really figured out, but he's back, had a sack and a half last week. They did have 4 sacks and only 22 drop back opportunities, when they played the Falcons last week, because Desmond Ridder, they were trying to control the game, run the ball with Bijan. So Carolina defense is a little underrated. All right, but being down J.C. Horn is something to watch.
I love that. We are crossing the bottom of the hour. For those of you just dropping in right now, you're like, hey, how come the show's on? Well, we started early. Follow me on social media. Turn on your notifications. You wouldn't know that. We are almost done with the Saints and the Panthers. We're going to move right into the Browns and the Steelers in a couple of minutes. We're going to do the gym at the top of the hour for both games and then get out of Dodge. Probably let me come back to you, because when you and I collab, because you and I like to collab, right? We like to go on CBS Sports HQ. They show my face. I use your pick. It's a great marriage. Today, we gave out Chris Olave, and the number at the time was 67.5. It's gone up to around 70. And you said to me, he needs to start playing and acting like a number 1 wide receiver. And tonight could be that night. Give me your take on Chris Olave. Oh,
receiver. Yeah, he's.
Oh no!
Am I muted?
That was me. Put that one on me. I muted him. He's good.
Oh, okay.
That was on
Okay.
me.
Worse than your car alarm over there, AB.
Yeah, Chris Olave.
Tail moving.
Chris Olave already is a number 1 alpha wide receiver. This guy checks every single box for me. Had one of the best rookie wide receivers in NFL history, if you ask me, especially if you look at a lot of the advanced metrics. Saw the connection with Carr right away, turned 8 targets into over 100 yards. Just absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. He can win outside. He can win inside. They can line him up everywhere. He was a part-time player in that offense. They platooned at wide receiver and still had just that incredible rookie season. So I think Chris Olave is destined for huge things, massive second-year breakout opportunity here. I think he's going to have a huge game. Phil mentioned no J.C. Horn. That's the Panthers' top corner. So I think we're going to see a lot of Olave tonight. I think we'll see 10 to 12-plus targets as well, and just a really solid game. So very high on him.
Phil, you've coached Keenan Allen. You've coached Mike Williams. You've coached Austin Eckler at the wide receiver and catching department. How good is Chris Olave?
He's excellent. I love Olave's ability to get down the field. I love the top of the route efficiency with his breakpoint mechanics. I also love Chris Olave's ability to run in-breaking routes and double moves. And when you're talking double moves, you're talking big yardage. So if the pass rush can't hit home, then Olave has a great chance to stretch the field.
All right.
Phil, sorry, Coach. I wanted to, we haven't talked about Michael Thomas yet, and this is a guy who led the league in catches the other.
Sure.
Do you think he's done? Do you think he's lost a step?
I did mention him as my third option for the Saints. I said he had 5 for 61 last week. He is not done.
Okay.
Another Ohio State product. Michael Thomas is not done. He is definitely a guy that I'm looking at, especially operating in the slot. All right, because I think you got the two speedsters on the outside, and Michael will play out there in 12 and 21 personnel. That's 2 wide receiver sets. But I love the work he does in the slot, in particular. I think on the crossing routes, the slants, the option routes, I think Michael Thomas is viable tonight.
Maybe if you'd focus on the show and not typing into the chat all the time, you would know what we actually talk about on the show. Oh, and by the way, I'll get back to you. Proppy, go.
One guy I wanted to hit on real quickly just while we're on prop before we move on to the next game is running back Jamal Williams for the Saints backfield. No Kendre Miller, rookie, third-round draft pick. Alvin Kamara suspended as well. So it's going to be the Jamal Williams show tonight. I expect him to have a ton of volume. He's going to handle pretty much every backfield touch for the Saints. So, yeah, I like him to potentially have a nice night. His rushing line is set around 59.5 yards. I'd lean over there, but I really like a volume-based approach with him. His rushing attempts line would be something I would take a good look at.
All right. And that answered a question in the chat, just like my man Proppy always does. And by the way, somebody in the chat also pointed out maybe you can put your games on the Pac-12 network, because apparently somebody was crying on social media today about an Arizona game playing against Washington next week, and you're going to be on the Pac-12. Was there anybody out? Surely you wouldn't do that, EC. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't
Coach,
do it.
You can get the Pac-12 network in China, and I can't get it in my house in Scottsdale. What does that tell you? It's ridiculous. Don't even get me started on that.
All right, I got a little surprise dropping in about 10 minutes here live on the show. 10 minutes. We got somebody dropping in live on the show to add a little something. Now, it is about 6:35, which means, gentlemen, are we all done with the Saints and Panthers? Is everybody good? Everybody's good. All right, let's switch over to my next cash of the evening, and I like to call it the Browns. The same team who held the Cincinnati Bengals and the Fighting Joe Burrows to all of 3 points. And Joe Burrow threw for 82 yards last week. So what do you think Kenny Pickett's going to do? Now, Steelers did throw a lot last week, 46 attempts for Kenny Pickett. But no Deontay Johnson tonight. And how do we know that, Proppy? Because today in our collab on HQ, we leaned in to who do you think's going to have a big night tonight?
Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, I think he's going to be the focal point of Pittsburgh's passing attack. We saw it last season with Kenny Pickett. He loves Pat Freiermuth. Coach mentioned no Deontay Johnson. He was serving as the engine of this Pittsburgh passing attack. Pittsburgh was very pass-heavy in week 1, which was interesting as well. I think the 49ers kind of forced them into that game plan, but I think Pittsburgh's willing to throw the ball quite a bit, kind of open up the offense a little bit more than we saw in Kenny Pickett's rookie season. So I like Pat Freiermuth quite a bit. Some of his numbers last week were, I think, a bit suppressed because he had a chest injury. He missed about a quarter and a half. Had that not been the case, I think he would have had a much better stat line. I like him to go over 3.5 receptions tonight. I like him to be the engine of this Pittsburgh offense alongside George Pickens, the outside wide receiver.
From a wide receiver standpoint, Phil, let me come over to you. With Deontay Johnson out, does that not only put Pat Freiermuth as like the number one, hey, let's get it out quick, but what does Kenny Pickett do without one of his best wide receivers?
So the two guys that I would look at heavily to get involved in the pass game would be George Pickens. All right, his targets are going to increase. All right, and then Allen Robinson. I mean, these are two big body players that have been known to be able to contest, go up for the ball, make 50-50 catches, run in-breaking routes, slants. You know, I think this is the kind of targets that Kenny Pickett needs, you know, to have for him to be effective.
And he's got a big old hoss coming after him. Myles Garrett is going to be on the other side, and we'll get more on the Browns defense in a second. But the reason I ask you, Phil, about Kenny Pickett, because we already know where the double showdown is going, but I would love, EC, for you to give out both of your picks, but really explain yourself on what you saw from the Steelers last week, losing, let me check my notes. Oh, yeah, 30-7. Was that the final last week? I believe that it was. What makes you think they're going to do it tonight?
Well, Coach, you just had, come on, we're overreacting to week one. Why are we? They were playing an excellent defense. Yeah, they look like garbage. We know that. But I'm not going to overreact in a spot against an elite team. So I'm going to give out Pittsburgh on the money line plus 110. In fact, I made it a 2-unit play on SportsLine. That's how confident I am. And I'll give you a few reasons why, just for you, Coach. You know the Steelers have won 20 straight home games on Monday Night Football, 20 in a row. Their last loss was in 1991. I'm trying to do the math. I was 8 years old when that happened. I mean, that's a long time. Steelers are 6-1 in their last 7 against the spread in their last 7 meetings with the Browns. They're 5-0 straight up and against the spread in the last 5 meetings at home against Cleveland. Now, the only thing that would concern me from a trends perspective, the teams that faced the 49ers last year went 1-15 straight up and 3-12-1 against the spread in their next game. But that was last year. We're talking about this year. It's a great bounce back spot for Pittsburgh. Not going to start 0-2. They're not going to pull a Denver and start 0-2 on their home field. This is a team that bounces back tonight, Coach. And yes, it's going to be an ugly game. I get it. But I see something like Pittsburgh 23, Cleveland 16. Now, as part of that 23, who's going to score a touchdown for the Steelers? Well, there's one guy on their team who's played in 4 career games against them, and he scored a touchdown in each one. So I'm just going to keep it simple right there. Naji Harris at plus 145 for an anytime touchdown. Sounds good to me. The trends don't lie, Coach. 1991, remember that. Naji Harris, 4 games, 4 touchdowns, 1 in each.
I'm very, very confused right now because in one breath you said 1991. In the other breath you said, but we're not talking about last year. You can't have
talking about last week. But listen, in the last game, I explained that and we asked Phil about adjustments from game 1 to game 2.
Yes.
And Mike Tomlin is an elite head coach. He is probably a future Hall of Famer. He knows how to make adjustments from one week to the other. Not having Deontay Johnson is a problem. I get that. They will find a way. And we have to talk about Pittsburgh's defense. I know they lost Cam Hayward, but TJ Watt is still probably one of the best edge rushers in the league, and he's going to make life miserable for DeShaun Watson tonight.
Which I feel is what Proppy's going to do to you if you don't shut up so he can actually say what he needs to say because his arm's about to fall off. Proppy, go.
Coach, ready for a factoid?
Of course.
1991, our next president, Buckets, was not even born yet.
EC saying take over on all Rocket Ishmael props tonight. All of them.
Desmond Howard, Heisman Trophy winner.
I've created monsters. I think it's like something super serious, and I'm like, you shut up so you get. And then it's Buckets 2024. The man will be back tomorrow. The only person in the chat that has your back, EC, right now is Rebecca. That's it. That's it. And I don't even think she does. She just wrote Fryermuth. So that's technically proper.
Is Rebecca your wife?
That would assume I would actually have one, Phil. We won't go there.
No, we won't. All right. AB, I've already seen some amazing graphics that do those graphics just show up or do you actually have to work on it? Do they take a little bit of time?
Yeah, we spent a couple hours in the lab on them.
Okay. So apparently they don't just appear like a lot of people think they do. So AB, let's go to this particular game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what. All right, I've got 3 plays on this one, and I'll give the first 2 out real quick. All right, same thing that we looked at with the Saints. Browns, team touchdowns over 2.5, plus 150. All right, 1.5 return here. That's all we need. 3 touchdowns or more. Think they could do it. Number 2, you are correct about the Steelers defense, obviously, right? So when you have a run game like the Browns do, when you have a pass game that we'll see from DeShaun, how do you go about it? How do you break that pass rush? DeShaun Watson, over 26.5 rushing yards tonight. You're looking at a dude that averages 35 to 41 yards per game and has for about, last 2.5 seasons or so. Look, I think that he could get it. He's going to break it out just to keep you honest in regards to Watt and everybody else bringing a rush. So I like that one. Now, so we've got those 2. The no-fly zone. Kenny Pickett, my man, I am sorry. It is just as bad for you as it was for well, maybe not as bad, but it's not good. I'll tell you this. So let's bring this up here and take a look. The Browns, I told you, they went out and got themselves a defense this offseason, got themselves some players, got themselves a DC. Take a look here. The Browns, short left, number 2 in the NFL. Short right, number 7 in the NFL. Deep left, number 1 in the NFL. Deep right, number 1 in the NFL. There are going to be problems for Kenny Pickett, especially if he is putting the ball up in the air as many times as he did last week. And if they're playing from behind deep left, he averages 17.3. Dude, don't even throw it deep left, or that's coming back to the crib. All right. Middle of the field, completely out. He's going to have problems all over the place. So that's why I say. And you look at Kenny Pickett, all right, second half, 77% of his interceptions have come there. And on the opponents, 49-20. Interesting, because usually it's, opponents own 1 to 20, 21 to 50. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to get Phil's take, and then we got a little surprise for everybody. Phil, you see the no-fly zone.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett threw it 46 times in week 1. Your thoughts on what you're seeing here?
Yeah, so just in relation to tonight's game, I'm talking about Cleveland's defense right now. You got 2 great outside pass rushers. The first one is Myles Garrett. He's like the Undertaker. He sacks you and he puts a tombstone in your backyard, and he has like 100 of them at this point. And he's only been playing for like 7 years. Then they went out and got Zadarius Smith from Minnesota. So that really creates a problem because now you have to chip with a tight end and a back. You're really only getting 3 guys out in the route combination. That's a problem. All right. And then you have Denzel Ward. He will take your lunch money, your milk money, and then he'll do all that stuff. All right. The guy's a good football player. So at the end of the day, Kenny Pickett was sacked 5 times against a very good San Francisco 49ers defense. They had 2 picks. He had a 68.4 QBR. It just really wasn't good. So what do? You feed Naji Harris. All right. He cannot have 6 carries for 31 yards and expect to win a football game. He must. And I know Mike T, he's going to be saying pound Naji all the time. Up the middle, outside, pot gap schemes, get him going early, and take the stress off Kenny 2-glove Pickett.
Yeah, and you know what? Like
they're hamburger helper gloves. What are we doing?
He does have those. Dude, he does have those. Here's the thing, too. And, Phil can obviously speak to it way, way better than I can. If you are the Browns defense, you are almost baiting Pittsburgh to throw the ball. You're going to load everybody up and say, look, you are not running the football. We are going to give you spaces to throw it. We are going to dare you to throw the ball because we are stopping the run at all costs. I'm fascinated to see that.
You'll be able to tell from the TV copy, AB, you're going to see from the wide count them up, how many defenders are in the box, all right, in particular on first and second down. If you see 7 and then the 8th guy with the safety getting down there, then that is exactly what they're doing.
But that's not a good idea, Phil, with George Pickens. You're talking about a guy with elite ball skills at the wide receiver position. You do not want to single cover him, ideally, right?
Ideally, but at Denzel Ward, you might want to take your chances that they're going to play great coverage and get home with the pressure. So that's what we talked about last night with the pressures, and that's why Miami got the ball down the field on some of those. It's because they can't help themselves. They're going to pressure and create those singles because you want to take away the run game, and you may come into a game like this and say, I want to see those guys beat me down the field. I want to see Kenny Pickett and George Pickens beat me down the field. All right? I'm going to put 8 in the box. If they do it, good. Hats off to them, and they win the game. I'm not going to let the running game just unload on me. So that's all oftentimes the high-level violent chess game that we're playing here.
All right. Very good. Are you done, EC? Because I got something I need to get to. Because normally on this show, it's the best pregame show in America, but we're normally 6 wide, are we not? We normally have 6. But we're missing one very important person tonight, are we not?
We are.
Or are we?
Oh, hi, guys. Where you been? Where's everybody been?
Dude, we got on the wrong subway. Where?
That's actually a true story. Listen, that was my cover. I was actually in the club. Most of you don't know this, but if you're VIP in the club,
oh my God, there it is.
On the upper level where there's no windows, Jamie Foxx took my property. Knows what I'm talking about. He knows. They take your phone, and it's this whole thing. So it's actually on me. But next time, I got to be aware of that.
Oh my God! I actually didn't even tell that story on air. This was AB bringing your business to life.
Yeah, he aired your laundry.
Yeah, he kind of did. But we've already done. I know you got some picks tonight. I want you to get right to them. So we've already done the Saints and the Panthers. Do you have anything in that game, Sia?
Yeah, I have a lean. I have a pick in the Steelers game, which you can find on the SportsLine app. I'll get to that in a second. But I have a lean. So what's interesting is the Derek Carr passing props. It was 231.5 at some books. It was 238.5 at other books. I think anywhere in the 231 to 234.5. I know the conventional wisdom, this is going to be a low-scoring game, but I still think the back end of Carolina can get exposed, and I expect Derek Carr to do it. So it's not an official play, but I do have a lean. J.C. Horn, I believe, is out for this game as well. It's already a secondary that I didn't really buy into, and I think Derek Carr with Shaheed going deep, with Olave in the middle area and Michael Thomas, I think he's going to have a lot of throwing room. This requires Carolina to be at least moderately competitive. I think they will at least be moderately competitive. I like Derek Carr's passing yards over.
I love it. I actually played it right before you came on, almost like we have a sixth sense together. I got it right here. All right, let's move over to the game we're on right now. You have an official play on the Browns and the Steelers. Go.
Yeah, I like the Steelers +2. I mean, in some areas, you could have gotten them at +2.5, even +3 a few days ago. But listen, you can take the money line. I do think the Steelers are going to win this game. And if memory serves, I think EC might have had that pick. I'll take the points. A lot of these games with teams like this, these kind of grinded out games, those points do matter. With that said, listen, I was on the 49ers against the Steelers last week. I wasn't really impressed with anything preseason as it related to Kenny Pickett or his receiver crew. However, I think we now have an overreaction, right? So the 49ers game, I can throw that out because it's one of the best teams in football. The question becomes, how good are the Steelers, preseason, 49ers, whatever? How good are the Steelers coming into this year? How good are they at home? How good are they when they are 0-1? Like backs to the wall. But the more important question is, how good are the Browns? I don't think DeShaun Watson is back. I think everybody kind of agrees with me there. But I think the question is, how far back is he? How much of that pie chart has he filled up versus where he was 2 years ago? And I don't think he's quite there. You go into Pittsburgh. Yes, Cam Hayward is out. But that Pittsburgh defense is still going to create a lot of havoc, particularly at home. I think DeShaun Watson has a checkered game, especially without Conklin and especially without Amari Cooper. So I think it's a great spot for the Steelers +2.
Clearly.
Is it Showdownville?
Oh, we definitely are in the Ville. We're definitely in the Ville. Probably I'll get to you in a minute. Not only are we in the Ville, but I sucked EC into money line showdowns, and he has both underdogs. So there's no points involved. I know you're not like that because you love the edge, which I'm cool with. But there is no universe, whether I'm giving to or on the money line, that the Browns lose tonight. So see ya. If you want to get down, I can get down right now with you too. It's your call.
Well, speaking of you too, do I get the 2 points or not? I'm very unclear.
I know you would never take the money line. EC was too easy. I would never try to pull that one over on you.
I mean, there's only one other question I need to ask, and that is play that music. Can you play that music?
It's gonna be a showdown.
I'm not only am I buying sushi tonight, I may throw in, I don't know, a 6-pack, maybe a nice lotto bot. I'm going to wine country in a couple weeks for an appearance. Maybe I'll have some to buy me some there in Napa. Thank you, counselor. Thank you, EC. Oh, tonight just got a lot more fun. Proppy, go.
Just wanted to point out really quickly, was handed or received a report regarding Amari Cooper's status tonight. He injured his groin in practice Saturday, was looking highly questionable, more unlikely or doubtful than questionable. Turns out he warmed up in pre-games. He's going to give it a go tonight.
Oh, my God, you had me scared. He may or may not be my pick for one of the gems tonight. And I was like, what? As you were talking, I was like, what? What are we doing? All right, we are about 9 minutes from the top of the hour. When we get to the top of the hour, we're going to hit both gem picks from both games, recap our best bets for both games, and be done before the first game starts. So you won't miss anything. But we got a few more things to talk about with this particular game. So, Proppy, let me come back to you, and then we're going to kind of whip it around because we got a lot of guys to talk about. Nick Chubb is always the guy. He's always the guy. If he has a big game, the Browns normally do well. His rushing number is 83.5 for a running back early in the year. That's a high number. Your thoughts on Nick Chubb tonight?
I mean, he's the best pure runner in football. That being said, it is a big number. I think it's a fairly efficient number. I think the Steelers defense is going to be motivated tonight. I think we're going to see a much better effort than we saw week one. To me, the number is efficient. It's not a play. It's a slight lean to the over. That's it for me, though.
All right, let's stay on the Browns side. EC, let me come to you. Elijah Moore, over 3.5, 41.5 with his yardage. David Njoku, over 3, 35.5. Anybody you think is going to have a big game on the Browns side?
You know, Coach, I was planning to play Elijah Moore, and I was actually looking at it last night. But now with Proppy's report that Amari Cooper is playing, you can't play Elijah Moore right now. You just don't know what that's going to look like. DeShaun Watson has really not been that good since he took over late last year as Cleveland's quarterback after that suspension. I have trouble seeing him getting over 200 yards, to be honest with you, unless they're in serious chase mode at the end of the game. I think it's going to be close, so I don't know that it will come to that. Regardless, I'm staying away, Coach. There's nothing I really like here from a Cleveland passing perspective where I would put money on the line.
All right. Well, the Watson number is 204.5, so that feels like a stay away. If EC, that's just a weird number, right? It's just really, really a weird number. All right, let's go over to the Pittsburgh side of things real quickly. I got something for you, Counselor. Then Phil, I'm coming to you. When we look at the weapons, we've talked about Freiermuth from Proppy, but Deontay Johnson is out tonight, Counselors. Anybody else that you like on the Steelers side that could pop off tonight?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, I'm not really a George Pickens guy. I just wonder how many receptions we're going to see from him. I think Calvin Austin is interesting at 27.5. I would probably lean to the over there, but honestly, I think a lot of unders are in play. I agree with Phil that you're probably going to try to establish the run. A lot of Jaylen Warren, a lot of Naji Harris, maybe even some Kenny Pickett in terms of his rushing over. But in terms of the passing totals, nothing really sticks out at me. I mean, if anything, it would be Calvin Austin over 27.5.
All right. Very, very good. Like that too. Phil, let me come back to you because at some point, and this happens in society, something happens and then it takes a little while to move on, but eventually, usually through sports, we do that. And that's kind of where DeShaun Watson finds himself now. Do you think with more reps that he will get back to the DeShaun Watson that we have known and what we saw in Houston and the reason he got $230 million?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this all day. I mean, literally, it's a big question mark because those numbers in Houston he put up with 40 touchdowns plus and all those types of things, I mean, are insane numbers. He's playing such a high level. And then you would hope that at this point in the season that he would be back. So I'm going to give him a mulligan last week because of the rain against the Bengals. So, but the first and foremost, you got to get the ball to Nick Chubb. I mean, 18 carries, 106 yards, 5.9 yards per carry. So if they can get the running game going, that'll be important for him with the play pass. Amari Cooper being questionable, but then they took the first bus over and they warmed him up and he's like, I want to go because he's a baller from Miami Northwestern. Of course he wants to go. But how effective is he going to be? Then you have Donovan Peoples-Jones and Elijah Moore. Is it enough playmakers for DeShaun to just burst on the scene? It's not like he has, a fresh young DeAndre Hopkins out there like he did when he was in Houston. So there's a lot of questions for this. This week is really important because it's a divisional game. He had back-to-back weeks, divisional games. They're on the road against one of the better defenses in the league. This is a real important one for me because he has been getting rave reviews out of the Cleveland camp. A lot of the journalists, too, have been saying this guy looks amazing in training camp. So let's just give him a mulligan on the first week, and let's see how it unfolds tonight.
All right. AB, I've got one for you, but probably I got to come to you first because the chat, they love for us to fight with each other. They love when one person has one side. I actually love it. But Proppy, you love Elijah Moore tonight, do you not? You think tonight could be the night for him?
I do like Elijah Moore tonight. Yeah, I was really encouraged by the week one performance. He was out targeting Amari Cooper. I was also impressed with the way they had designed plays for him, got him the ball in space. So I like Elijah Moore quite a bit, especially considering you're getting nearly 60-70% discount compared to Amari Cooper's receiving line. So yeah, at under 40 yards, at 36.5 yards, I like Elijah Moore quite a bit.
And B-Man5422, he loves your new setup. Probably has a fresh new setup. Exclamation point. Daniel, thank you for hanging out with us and letting the people know. He says, come on, fam. Got well over 1,000 people. A huge number tonight. But less than 200 likes. Do I have to beat you over the head with it? When you come on, hit the like button and then start chopping it up. By the way, shout out to one of the bosses, Noah Stanley, in the chat tonight, taking the time. Thank you for taking the time, Noah. Now, AB, we've heard about defense. It could get ugly, whatever. Team totals again. We talked about in the first game. Let's talk about it again right now. 20 for the Browns, 9.5 at halftime. Steelers, 18.5, also 9.5 at halftime.
Okay, so look, I mean, how are the Steelers going to score? In quickly? I really don't know, right? I think the Browns' defense is that good, and I think the Steelers' offense is that bad. All right, unless the Browns are turning the ball over, I'm not touching any overs on Pittsburgh. That being said, The Browns can play some cat and mouse here using Nick Chubb, using the run game, using play action, using both sides of the field, and essentially kind of how the Eagles do of say, you're going to have to pick your poison here. Which one do you want? How do you want to get down, dog? Because we're going to be able to do it any way that you want. And you add in DeShaun being able to run as well. I'm telling you, they're going to get that wrinkle out early just to put it in the Steelers DC's mind here. Browns, I like 9.5. Honestly, you said that's first half, right?
That's first half 9.5.
9.5. That's a low number, man. And Nick Chubb can bust one at any moment. I love 9.5. And you said what, 18.5 as well?
Yeah, well, no, they're 20 for the game, 9.5. The Steelers are 18.5, 9.5.
I don't want anything to do with either Steelers, but I'll take both Browns.
All right, I'm going to play the Browns right here. Go ahead, Philzy.
I think just talking about Pittsburgh's defense, like why are those so low? I mean, they're a base 3-4 defense. I mean, they're schematically sound. All right, they're fundamentally sound. They tackle as good as anybody in the NFL. Talk about the names on this defense. We got T.J. Watt, Quan Alexander, Keanu Neal, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Think about the safeties on both sides of the balls, the amount of tackles they're going to have because the amount of runs the running backs and carries they will get. So then you have Patrick Peterson. He's aging, but he will still take the ball away from you. So this Pittsburgh defense is very, very good.
Why didn't you tell me that before I just played those plays that AB told you to? I literally was doing it.
I'm just trying to follow the flow of the show, Coach. I've only been here like a week.
That's all right. EC's been here a lot longer than that. He still can't figure out the flow of the show. So it is what it is. We are approaching the top of the hour. We got one more minute left. So I believe the counselor should have the last take on this game before we get into a double gem tonight. And we'll recap all of our best bets from both games. Any final thoughts on this game from you, counselor? Oh,
I did it again.
You did it again.
Take his gem.
Again, that's two shows in a row. Sorry about that.
So never mind. I was going to say fine him, but we can't do that anymore either.
Can't do that either.
I think it's really interesting what our perceptions of these teams are ultimately because, you know, we thought Pittsburgh was a pretty decent team going into week one, and now we think Pittsburgh's terrible. And that might be true, but I just really think it's interesting because I think these two teams are 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And I think this is going to be a very, very close game.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, very good. I think we all agree it could be good games tonight. And sometimes when we think the games aren't going to be that good, they turn out to be really,
Coach,
really good.
Can not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you. Going off what Sia said, I agree, except for one thing. Coming into the year, I didn't think Pittsburgh's a good team at all. I still don't think they're a good football team at all, and I don't want anything to do with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though I love Mike Tomlin, he is my dude. Ramon Foster lives just down the street. That's my dude. I love him. But the Steelers, I'm out.
I agree with you. You know what? We need to start having more hardcore opinions on the show. Why are we scared of everything? You know what I mean? I agree with you, AB. The Steelers stink, and they're going to get bounced tonight. They're going to get bounced hard. I said today on CBS Sports HQ, because EC every now and then I go on CBS Sports HQ, and I said they'll lose by at least 7 tonight. At least 7. It's on record. It's on video. AB, I agree with you. I was just trying to be nice.
Coach, let me say this. Your opinion on this game tonight is going to age well as my Bears 9-win prediction I made on HQ with you.
That was true. I crushed you that week too. All right. Roppy's over there just laughing. He's just chuckling. He's just like, I'm just getting ready to get into the club, and it's going to be all good. All right. Jay Kane said he'd like to see an EC prop star showdown on Elijah Moore receiving props. Interesting.
No, I'm not going against him. I don't know how to play this one tonight, but I'm not going against Proppy. I'm smarter than that.
Wow. I've never seen somebody run backwards so fast, DC, as you right now.
He looks like Denzel Ward right now.
Now I don't want to
get picked on like Eli Apple.
I don't want to stir the pot, but it is now time to figure out if we're going to get into the club and join C, who's been in there popping bottles for a week. My phone went off last week. I couldn't believe that he got it done. Now, Sia, I need to tell you this. Because you would think if you're not here that everybody would have your back. You'd think everybody would be like, yeah, counselor. I was the only one because people, Proppy, tried to take your gem pick tonight when you weren't on at the start of the show.
A person.
Your thoughts?
Shameful. Very, very, very shameful. But the thing is, if it was Proppy, in his defense, I kind of did take his guy. I kind of did take his guy.
And it's a credit to see his pick, if anything else. It's honestly, he should take it as it's flattering that I like the pick so much that I wanted to make it my own.
Yeah, you would, Proppy. Let me tell you how it really went, Sia. I mean, I was like, hey, I just got a text from Sia. He's not going to be able to make the star of the show. In real time, he goes, can I have his gym pick? Like,
Is that fast?
That's true. That happened.
Facts. He wasn't worried about you at all. Not at all.
I know my cousin's okay. I know my cousin's good. He's out there doing big things.
All right, let's go first game, and then we'll go second game. All right, guys? Let's do the first game. See, obviously, you've earned the right to go first. Who do you like?
So the first game, that's going to be Carolina. I'm going to go with, and I hope this wasn't taking, I'm going to go with Rashid Shaheed at plus 1,500. I just think Derek Carr is going to try to extend the field quite a bit, especially early, loosen up that defense. And if he's going to do that, the lone target there for him will be Rashid Shaheed. This is an underrated long ball threat. We talk about George Pickens in the Steelers game getting downfield. This guy can get downfield too. Not as athletic, but I like him at plus 1,500 to score the first touchdown.
Probably likes him to hit his yardage total tonight. That's a best bet on the show with Rashid Shaheed. So speaking of Proppy, how about you go next?
Great minds think alike, Coach. But yeah, I love the Shaheed play. If I wasn't going Shaheed, or I wasn't going Olave, I'd go Shaheed. Can't believe this is at 10-1 odds. It's honestly unfair. Going complete shock here. Chris Olave, mentioned it earlier, ad nauseum. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL, in my opinion. Poised for an absolutely monster second year, coming off of just a historically good rookie season. I think him and Carr are going to do great things together this season, and Olave is just going to ball out. So you have to take this at 10-1.
You have to take it. There's no question. By the way, your girl Rebecca says smooth, Proppy. Smooth.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right, Philzy, who we going with tonight?
I'm going with Taysom Hill. I think they're going to do some quarterback runs and get in like a wildcat-ish package with Williams, who had 2.5 yards per carry last week, with Kamara being out. I think some zone reads, some quarterback power, and just think about in the short yardage and also the red zone. So I'm going with Taysom Hill.
All right, AB, talk to me.
Yeah, I think that we actually have to pay respect to Brian Hartline here. We've got Ohio State wide receivers everywhere. I'm going to go Michael Thomas, man, a former Buckeye as well. Look, he's coming back healthy. No better time than Monday Night Football. Open that thing up early, break open the offense. You know Derek Carr wants to throw it. So, yeah, give me MT.
Yeah, it's good to see that Michael Thomas is brought up for the very first time on the show right now. Oh, EC, you're up next.
You know, Coach, there's a reason the hotels in Las Vegas are so big. Because when the public does one thing, you got to deviate. And that's what the sports books do. Do you notice one thing about this screen right here? I'm the only one with a Carolina Panthers player. All the rest of you have Saints players. So we deviate. We're going to hit Carolina. Bryce Young's going to get his touchdown early on to Adam Thielen, making his first game at home as a member of the Carolina Panthers. Red zone target in Minnesota, had double-digit touchdowns, for many years. I think he gets his first one as a Panther tonight. And it's the first touchdown of the game.
Oh, EC, so much for you still to learn. I'm going to go Jawan Johnson, plus 1,200. All you got to do is go and look, and he normally gets 2 or 3 catches every single game. Hopefully tonight in the first quarter, he'll get it in the end zone and get me into the club. Because if there's one person that I've never popped bottles with, is my man, the counselor. Never done it. I'd love to do it tonight. I really, really would. All right, game number 2, gentlemen. See you coming right back to you. Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going for, especially when you don't have Deontay Johnson on the field, I'm going for another kind of warm, cuddly blanket for Kenny Pickett. And he's going to be leaning on the short area, kind of the more reliable passes, especially after what happened last week. And it is a Cleveland defense that's very formidable. I think Pat Freiermuth is the dude. I mean, I do think he's going to be potentially the first look in the end zone when they get down that way. I expect them to score first, and that first score is going to be done by Pat Freiermuth.
All right, so Sia believes it'll be the Steelers. Proppy, we all know your favorite player in the NFL is Pat Freiermuth. We know that you and Sia have some issues right now. I'll step in the middle. Who do you like?
I just asked that if Sia gets in for the second time, he gives me a second pass as like an honorary buddy pass or something like that. All right, fair enough. But yeah, I'm going to go David Njoku here. Sorry to see him really come on last year. had a really poor week 1 performance, only 1.7 yards, 2% of the air yard share. I think they're going to make an emphasis to get Njoku more involved. Highly athletic tight end, can get down the field. Watson likes to look his way in the red zone as well, so it could be David Njoku.
All right. Phil, you're up next.
Well, we saw on Friday Pat McAfee and The Rock bring out the People's Elbow. So I'm bringing out Donovan Peoples-Jones at plus 1,200 for the first score of the game.
You know, true story. One time, Rock gave me the rock bottom, and as I hit the ground, it was such a good what we call bump in the business. He said, "Great bump," as he was jumping up in the air. That's how in the moment the Rock was when him and I were in the ring sharing it together. EC, you got any you and Rock story? No? Oh, okay. Part of the reason George Pickens is at plus 1,300 EC is because nobody, and I repeat, nobody thinks the Steelers are going to score first, except for you and Sia. Explain yourself.
Well, it's a good person to be aligned with, I'll be honest with you. I mean, every time I'm with the counselor, good things happen. So I'm going to go with it. He's already in the club, coach. So now it's my turn to get in the club tonight. I wouldn't even mind doing it twice. I think George Pickens gets the first touchdown. You're talking about a 6'3" guy who is indefensible one-on-one, as far as I'm concerned. This is a guy that had 13 indefensible one-on-one. I'm telling you. Unless you have Jair Alexander or Sauce Gardner or somebody like that. But we'll talk about that later. Anyways, all right. So this is a guy that can score in the red zone. He's a great red zone threat, 6'3". But he's a deep ball guy. I mean, he can outrun the secondary. So I'm rolling with that, coach. We're going to take a shot. Kenny Pickett is flying in the fly zone. There's no fly zone with Kenny Pickett. He's flying tonight. George Pickens getting on the board first.
All right. Oh, I love you, EC. All right, AB. By the way, how good does this graphic look, everybody? I'm telling you, this is network level stuff, and AB does it basically by himself. That's it. He does it by himself with Snake. Now, Ali says, I love DeShaun Watson at plus 2,200. I'm with AB. Explain yourself.
Absolutely. You know who else is by himself tonight? And I don't mean this as a joke. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. He's not coaching for his job tonight, but he's kind of coaching for his job this season. And you know what? That means that winning division games and beating the Steelers is incredibly important. If the Browns get down, when the Browns get down in the red zone all throughout the night, Nick Chubb is going to get the first look. The second look is going to be DeShaun Watson because it's safe. You aren't throwing. He's going to look like he's throwing. Look like it, tuck it and go. That's exactly how it's going to go down. Get right to the pylon there. Punch it in. DeShaun Watson, it's safe. You don't turn it over when the quarterback runs it in. Let's go.
I love that take. By the way, a sentence I never thought I would hear, much less say. EC is electric tonight, says Joe in the chat. Electric, EC. That's who you are.
Joe,
I'm going to go with the guy with the sore groin. I'm going to go with the guy that's going to be dragging his leg down the field. Nobody's going to be paying attention. Chalkity, chalk. Amari Cooper at plus 1,000. And Proppy, I got receipts. Don't look at me sideways, Proppy. I got receipts.
Hey, I'm the king of receipts, coach.
I know you are. But Amari Cooper, we know how good he can be when he is healthy. And DeShaun Watson, he's a veteran quarterback. He's going to go to the guys that he knows in the pressure situations, like inside the red zone. He can get the job done. All right. Let's do our best bets and get the heck out of Dodge. So here's what it is. We're going to go through all of our best bets for both games. So make them quick, but also make sure we know where they are coming from. So let's go in order. EC, talk to me.
Well, I'm going to take $200 from Coach tonight, and here's how we're going to start with the Panthers money line at plus 140. Listen, Frank Reich in week 2, 4-1 straight up. As I gave that stat earlier, go rewind the live stream. You'll see Panthers money line, good play tonight. Chuba Hubbard going to get some run. Carolina has to play ball control, over 34.5 rushing yards at minus 110. The other part of Coach owing me money tonight, Steelers money line at plus 110. Always great to be on the same side as the counselor. Naji Harris, 4 games against the Browns, 4 touchdowns, 1 in each game. He's going to do it tonight at plus 145.
Counselor, I don't know how you feel about EC aligning himself with you, but he just did that. Counselor, you're up next. What do you got?
Coach, I absolutely love it. Hey, I also love that the creator of the gem, Jacob Halix, is in the chat right now, and he loves the Freiermuth play as well. So shout out to Jacob.
Yo, Jacob. Yo, Jacob.
I'll keep it really quick. I'm going to take I've already put in the official play on the SportsLine app, Steelers +2. I believe I might have actually gotten it at 2.5. But anyway, long story short, I have a lean to Derek Carr over 234.5 or less passing yards.
All right. By the way, just so all of you know, a lot of you are new, this show would not exist without Jacob Hallex, who's in the chat right now. So just say hello. What up? Thank you. This man is a genius. And we hate that he's not here, but damn it, he's doing well. So, Jacob, shout out to you. AB, take me through yours.
Yeah, look, Jeweler's the GOAT, right? And remember, he still holds show records that, one, he's the only man to put together a darts parlay and hit it. And number two, yeah, me and the Jeweler, we've taken down mighty and NFL kicker's career, Joey Sly. Sorry about that, buddy. Me and Jeweler had some tough nights betting on you there. But for me, Bryce Young, throwing a pick. Kenny Pickett throwing a pick. Saints team touchdown total over 2.5. Browns team touchdown total over 2.5. DeShaun Watson over 26.5 rushing yards.
All right. The maestro is on Kenny Pickett to go under 204.5 with his passing yards against the Browns -115. Proppy, bring us home.
Shout out to Jacob Hallex, my buddy. Shout out to Noah Stanley, two of my favorite guys. So what's up, fellas? But yeah, we're taking Rashid Shaheed over 36.5 receiving yards. This is a dynamic young receiver on the Saints. Week 1, 3.56 yards per route run. Second to only Tyreek Hill. Very impressive efficiency. I think he's in line for a big season. I think this is the only time we find him under 40 yards for the rest of the way, potentially. Also like Elijah Moore as well. I know it's not listed there, but I did get that out on the site, over 36.5 yards. I think he might be in for an even target share with Amari Cooper, especially if he's gimpy tonight. So I like Elijah Moore as well.
All right. You've got all your best bets. You had time to get them in. If you're here at the beginning for the Browns Steelers, you still have another hour to get them in. But, man, what a good show. And thank you all for coming at a special start time tonight. When we do these two games, this will be the start time every week, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Now, you guys know I like to end every one of our primetime shows asking my crew, my guys, what's the number one most important thing we use this knowledge is power for tonight or into the future? See you. Start us off.
So I'm really curious as to which one of these teams of the four we're actually going to take seriously in terms of like playoff runs and things of that nature. We have such a small sample size right now, but I don't know if Cleveland's good. I'm not sure if Carolina or New Orleans can contend with Atlanta for the NFC South. There's a lot of questions that maybe we'll see some answers to today.
AB.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see the Steelers. Like, I do not know. I don't believe that this is a very good football team. They could absolutely prove me wrong. The Steelers have made history doing that over and over. Mike Tomlin, again, love the dude. He's made a career doing that to people, but fascinated to see what they look like tonight.
Probably.
One of my favorite NFL statistics is PROE, pass rate over expected. The Steelers were second in pass rate over expected week 1. I want to see if that trend continues tonight. No Deontay Johnson, but I think Pittsburgh might come out with a pass-heavy approach based off of week 1's performance.
Hashtag next level capping is the world that Proppy lives in. EC, you're up.
Beware of the home dog, coach. Tonight, Monday Night Football, the stars shine brightest. Home dogs, not a good idea to bet against them.
And our smartest man with the X's and O's, Phil Z, bring us home.
I'm kind of with Sia, just trying to figure out which one of these four teams is going to give us, a bunch of positive to talk about next week going in. This is going to be big boy football tonight. They're going to be running the football between the tackles. It's going to be physical. One thing that happened yesterday is all teams that were involved in the game did kick a field goal. In particular, down in the red zone. What's happening now? These defensive coordinators are getting so good schematically at keeping you from scoring touchdowns down in the red zone that field goals are increasing. So they're rushing 3 and dropping 8. A lot of people call that a picket fence.
That was
so good.
Yeah, that was so good right there. I had to let that sing for a second. By the way, did you happen to see Phil Z, AB's ears go like this when you started talking about field goals? Those come later in the season. Right here on the early edge. We love the field goal props.
Nick Folk, baby. He is an ATM.
Finally, what I'm looking forward to tonight is just reestablishing myself as the absolute GOAT. When I tell you I'm going to do something, EC, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I've been killing it against Will Brinson for the early edge. Me and Proppy have been killing it on HQ, collabing our props together, and tonight I'm doing it all by myself. Saints get it done. Browns get it done, and I want to see exactly how they get it done. Another great show. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to my amazing crew. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Monday Night Football doubleheaders stacked on top of each other. Take it straight to the pay window. My entire crew, Lobo, Counselor doing double duty, still making it to the show. AB, always doing, look how good the graphics are looking. My man Proppy, deep in the lab all the time. EC, just as entertaining as anybody I've ever worked with. And my man Philzy, bringing all the X's and O's. That's a crew nobody else can match. I'm simply the coach, trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about right here at prime time, early edge. Good luck.